So we have lean back, lean forward. And one of the key things about this debate versus the previous is that we're going to have a lot of audience interaction, hopefully. Now we have a team. Before we actually go through the teams, I'm going to ask each of you why you wanted to work in the media and entertainment industry, or why you decided it was a good thing to stay in it. Laura, do you want to go first? Since you're
Sure, I'll go. So I'm a Wall Street analyst, so I'm basically like a theater critic. No matter, I cover 20 media companies, including Google, Facebook, Amazon, Apple, and basically I'm a theater critic. I'm like, this is what Tim Cook is doing wrong at Apple. This is what, this is what Mark Zuckerberg is doing wrong all the time over at Meta. I'm a theater critic. And and I've covered billionaires my whole life because I've been in media my whole life, and most media companies, as you know, are started with AB protected shares, and they can't be fired. So my job is to get them to change behavior without the penalty, because nobody can, public shareholders can't fire them.
Okay.
So I love my job.
Excellent. Colin?
Hi. Why did I wind up in the television industry? Well, it was way back in the 1970s, 80s, in small town South Africa, where I would go to the local movie theater, where every year they would show the Cannes Lion Advertising Awards.
Aha, okay.
And it was this magical world of like all these incredible ads, and they would just sit through an hour and a half of ads in the movie theater. And I just loved it. And I was briefly a structural engineer, and then I went to financial services, but I eventually found my way into the advertising world with a startup called advertising.com back in 99, 2000. And then it's through the advertising side that I found myself now very much in the television business. And so, yes, I started with a small movie theater in a farming town in South Africa.
Okay, so he went from a movie theater to Zumo. That's where the industry moved. Jonathon?
Yeah, so I started in broadcast and then jumped into cable and saw that that was switching to on-demand, and then went into streaming. So I've just been tagging along.
Riding the surf, changing technologies.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. And your technology brain has got to be kind of, was it always focused on media?
Well, I'm not pretty. I can't dance. I can't sing.
Scott.
I can't act. So I wanted to do something in media. All was left was engineering. And I knew math. So, hey, that's what I went and did. I'm an engineer.
Excellent.
I love creating content.
We've got a lot of structured people here. Okay. And I got into this area because I didn't want to be as structured, because when I looked at doing software development, there was either databases or interactive. So I went interactive. So anyway. Okay, so we've got the start of who we have here. Now, lean back, lean forward. Where should we start? We should flip a coin. Does anybody have a coin in the audience? Because I don't have one on me. Excellent. Okay, and
we'll defer to the team at your left. You can take it to the down the
so
list.
We'll let the losers go first.
Excellent, excellent. But don't call each other names. Okay, lean forward. So the format we have is 3 minutes. 3 minutes for their comments, a 2-minute rebuttal, and potentially a 2-minute rebuttal to the rebuttal if we find we're still unclear on the topic.
So I think lean forward is the new lean back. We're already doing it. $200 billion are made in the gaming industry every year. 90% of the people that are doing online betting believe that their experience is better. They're watching more TV. If you look at the 35 and under crowd, they're already engaging in interactivity on every device. Television is just a matter of time. I was in on-demand when it first got started, and telling people Blockbuster's going to go away in 2002, they all thought I was crazy, including Blockbuster. Guess what? It went away. It's just a matter of time. Technology is taking over, and it's not that there won't still be a lean-back experience for some people. It's just that those are going to be less and less people, and as lean-forward technology allows the rest of us to engage, that's what's going to happen.
So we wouldn't say lean back are going to become extinct.
No, I would just say that you'll have the choice to lean forward, and in 20 years, maybe some of the lean back people may be extinct. I don't know. We'll see.
Right. Laura, do you want to add anything to?
Yeah, I mean, I think in 2001, we started voting for like Survivor and a great, amazing race. And Apprentice actually had at one point a viewership elimination round. Now we have Dancing with the Stars. So even in entertainment, sports is a much better case study because it's more recent. But back to 2001, we had real audience interaction with lean back TV. And by the way, Survivor should have never survived if it wasn't for the fact that the audience gets involved, right? Lost was 10 years, and then because it was lean back, it died. And some of these much lower quality entertainment shows are still on the air because you get to vote. The audience comes back to see if who they voted for survives on Dancing with the Stars. So I think even in entertainment, sports for sure, we're seeing this lean forward kind of behavior. But even in entertainment, I think we're seeing that the shows, we're in season 49 of Survivor. So I don't know, I think that's our time. But anyway, so that's what I'd say. I think there's a lot of evidence that consumers, there are some cohort of consumers that prefer lean forward, and when you have interactivity, the consumer can decide whether he wants to be lean back or does he want to be lean forward. If you don't offer him interactive rights, there will be people who abandon you and go to something that has the option of interactivity.
Okay, all right. All right, so now the way we're going to work it is if there is a rebuttal to their introduction, we will go 2 minutes for the rebuttal, and then we will continue on.
Well, I'll start with the rebuttal. You've kind of already answered the reality of the situation. It's going to be a both and. There's going to be a lean back and lean forward. And you also coached in the way I would have said it. It's like there's going to be people migrating between the two experiences at all times. Lean back will continue to exist for a long time. The linear assembled channel experience is something that's critical to the existence of a lot of people's TV experience. People come home Friday night or Saturday night and they go, I want to get really interactive. I want to click. I want to watch whatever's on Netflix. I want to watch the game that's really important to me. I want to watch that football match. Monday and Tuesday, they come home, they flip the TV on, and it's in the background. And it's just playing. And that's, well, okay, if you're old like me, that's what you grew up with. There's a huge number of people out there. That is going to be their experience for a really long time. And, you know, the company I work for, we do 1 trillion transactions on ads a month. A lot of that's AVOD, but a lot of it's just connected TVs playing in the background. There's a ton of people just turn the TV on and it plays in the background. And there it goes. And that's that lean back experience that people still need.
Colin, do you want to add anything?
Just a little word of perspective. I'm Colin. In my past life, I founded a company called Zumo, which was a free streaming TV service.
I've heard of them.
And was very much in the lean back world for many, many years, and sort of at the vanguard of the fast industry, I guess, if you will. I was then briefly at Comcast for a few years, and then ran their video platforms, which included their X1 boxes and others, and looked at how lean forward appointment type viewing mattered to consumers. Now I'm in a company called Fairground. We're doing AI-powered entertainment. I'm hoping to take the best of both of these worlds. But lean back, I want to just talk about the idea of interactivity. I think if you were looking at lean back programming, a lot of people think of traditional broadcast, cable TV, old school. The technology involved in curating the modern free TV channel is data-rich and dynamic. And to the consumer, it may appear like something is just playing out. The real-time engine making that happen is very data, very like next generation, and there's much more to it, more akin to an interactive show than there is to an old-fashioned broadcast over an antenna.
Okay.
So I think it's a mistake to say that lean back is without data and without monitoring interactivity.
We're going to let you continue your argument. Now, actually, the funny thing is that now the two of you are going to actually tell us why lean back is the thing that you think is important, because now you've got 3 minutes.
I don't think you can argue with the fact that more than 50% of consumption of television in the United States in terms of hours spent is lean back programming. People watch a lot of it. It matters to people. And so I think that is, while I think some of the new lean forward gets the headlines, a new show on Netflix, the real consumption still lies in lean back.
There's an incredible amount of branding going on by specific teams and leads in the sports world that I spent a lot of time in the last few years, where they have 24/7 channels. These are not profitable channels, transparently. They do have ads, but that's not what they're there. They're there to get your attention when you're just flying by on the guide, if you do that, or if they're running in a bar situation. Now, I spent a lot of time in London the last couple of years. Premier League has a 24/7 channel. It plays in the background. Most of the time, you're ignoring it, but every now and then, you'll see your team, and you'll just go, oh, look, that's very interesting. I'll watch that for 2 minutes. It's very much about building brand, building awareness, so you know what's going on in the background over there, and you'll pay attention to it. There's a lot of marketing potential inside these channels that they still use today. And you're absolutely right. There's tremendous amounts of data building what's important to the consumer to put something valuable on that channel. It doesn't exist in a vacuum of pure content. It's content and data. Media is becoming a programmable object. Very much case in point, the NBA does very specific things with their 24/7 channel to make sure it's relevant and important to their audience at all times.
Okay, so you still have more time, but if you want to give up the time to... Oh, excellent. Okay, now, do you want to address their data?
I'll address that. It's not just sports. So I had a digital agency before Best Ever Channels, and one of my clients was Pluto. And this is pre-acquisition, so they were doing a lot of experimental things. Ilya, one of the founders, hired me because he knew he had the best horror content available. He just couldn't get the people to engage or realize that it was there on an ongoing basis. We did a campaign where we got influencers from that category to do a live chat during broadcasts in October of that year. I don't even remember which year. It was 2018 probably. But we doubled the view time and the viewership because people were engaged, because they could live chat, because even if they weren't engaging themselves, they were watching the live chat of their favorite Fangoria or Bloody Disgusting influencers talking about the movie that they were watching. So it works on all ends, whether it's sports or not.
I want to bring up the money point. If you have interactivity, you have better data because you know what the consumer actually clicked on or chatted about. So by definition, your CPMs, if you have an ad revenue stream, will be higher, and you have a revenue stream called tipping, like at Twitch and like in video games, that you do not have if you just have a subscription fee and an ad fee. So you have more chance for commerce because you have better data and you see the person's really engaging in Elton John content, you can send them more things that you can charge a revenue stream. So interactivity will have higher CPMs or higher average revenue per person, and it has a bigger total addressable market because while some people will want lean back, some people will demand interactivity to earn their attention. And therefore, the total addressable market is larger if you have interactive features, I would argue.
Okay, now,
If I
tell you what,
may,
you want to do a rebuttal, would you?
who has sit down with your significant other to watch something on a streaming TV service and spend more time looking for a show to watch than watching the show? Anybody? All right. How compelling a lean forward experience was that, as opposed to this incredible lean back experience where you sit down, you flip through a guide, and suddenly magically there's an agreement. Let's watch that together. There's something beautiful about being delivered and served up to you. That's sort of satisfied, like a need for high quality entertainment at a time when I'm feeling at leisure and I just want to enjoy myself. Another example, actually, if I may, Spotify. Who listens to the Spotify curated playlists, right? Or something like that to find your music. That is another lean back kind of experience, if you will. That's how most people find new music, is like listening to a curated playlist. I would argue that a lean back TV channel is not unlike that same experience with Spotify.
I actually have to do a panel here in a couple of days where Tubi's on the panel. My wife went, "Who's Tubi?" I put the Tubi app on. My wife is now addicted to Tubi. Just sitting there during the evening going, "Oh, I'll just turn that on. This is fantastic. I can just watch stuff ad infinitum."
You're really over-indexing on 50-year-olds. That is not the future.
Hey.
Who wins is about who earns your attention.
And this is like the political debates. Okay, we're all cut off because we have to go for the next question. And the only reason we're doing that is because we have audience questions that are going to come up.
Nadine, this is what you asked us to do. We have to like go have a, you want
Absolutely,
a little show up there.
But first we have the format. We have the 3 minutes, the 2 minutes, the 2 minutes. I have to stick to the format. Who in the audience has a question? And if you don't have a question, I have my own questions, but questions? Yes. Okay, TV's in the background, yes.
I was wondering, are publishers measuring the engagement related to the CPM? Because it's not fair to give the same CPM to a forward experience than to a...
I'll actually answer again as
Okay, can you
so
summarize the question?
The question
that you
was with platforms seemingly just being always on, is there as much value to the advertising with potentially people not paying as much attention? Something that was done actually was partnering with WPP and an ad study they did about that very subject. They asked a lot of questions around, is the value of the first or second ad that you see in an ad break greater than the ad that you show after 8 or 9 or 10 hours to a consumer? And the answer was yes. There is a higher premium. But the platforms have all adjusted, and most platforms, including smart TVs, stream boxes, Roku's, Fire TVs, the Comcast boxes, now have a prompt which asks if you're still watching to address that very same. So I will say in some point it was, like there is somebody who's left the TV on for 24 or 36 hours. It's going to have a different profile than somebody who's just turned it on. But the platforms have more than made up for it with this kind of approach to cap out the people that aren't engaged.
And I really disagree. It is obvious intuitively that if somebody is leaning forward and interacting, it is a better data point for making the next revenue stream, and you are really front and center of their attention versus your point, which is, oh, it just is on in the background. That cannot be as valuable as CPM, and somebody should pay more for the lean forward CPM than for the lean back, for fear you left and went to the bathroom or took a break. Especially, mine comes on after 7 episodes. Are you still watching? I could have been gone for 4 hours.
Most advertising bought and sold today is bought not on the basis of the content around it, aside from some brand advertising that is sold by the platforms. Most advertising is bought on programmatic basis, right, which values the consumer at that moment in time and the data that the advertiser has on that household and what they are, and they bid for that ad compared to the others. And so I don't think it's as big a difference on the premiums because the same consumer and whether that person is shopping for a new car. Does it matter they've watched 30 minutes of a fast channel or just dialing around inside of a Disney guide? It's still that person in market for a new car, and the premium is attached to that. So I would say that it's less of a...
might be in the room. Your issue, his issue is lean back. Like if you're not in the room, if it's on in the background, which was your starting point, it's not as good as CPM. Yes, that's the household, but he might not be in the room. There's no way to tell. Lean forward, you know if he's in the room because he's doing something.
Okay, I'm going to move on to the next question. Who has the next question in the audience? Sir in the back. What do we make of consumers? So we need to actually figure this out so that we can have it as a debate. What do we make of people who want both?
Well, I think the
Then I win, because the minute you want interactivity, I've always given you lean back. That's where the world started, so we win.
The data tells us that that is what the consumer is doing. There was a release by Comcast a while ago that really showed that interactivity wins on the weekend. That's what people do. They tune in Netflix, sports, that's a weekend.
Are you switching sides?
No, I'm saying what the consumer's doing. The consumer's really doing that. But on the weekdays, it's very much the lean back.
But the point is, if you have a choice of both, then you have the lean in. It's just that you could choose to lean back. And you're leaning. If you only have lean back, you can't choose to lean in. You've changed the program.
I think there's a good question. Is what is the definition of lean forward versus lean back? Is it interactivity, or does it by very nature say I think it's more like your specific outcome for a specific show. You're leaning into finding something specific.
Nope. So, shoppable TV, that's what happens next. So Roku with Shopify, buy now, press the Roku button, buy on TV. That is the latest thing, 6 months old. We're going to see TV that is absolutely defined as interactivity from the consumer point of view. Didn't exist a year ago. that will be the trend because Amazon is forcing that trend by tying Amazon purchases to a connected television ad unit. Their competitors must follow. So everyone who sells a CTV unit must have some kind of tie to purchase, and they must make it easier for the ad unit to be tied to purchase to compete with Amazon. And so do the consumers do that? It's another revenue stream for Roku, good for them. And so if you don't do it, you're just, Wall Street will give you more money if you have more revenue streams. So if you don't have more revenue streams because you're lean back, you're gonna get marked down in your cost of capital.
Okay, what I'm gonna let you do now is, we'll give you each in 1 minute for you to define your own sides. So for lean back, tell me how you define lean back.
I personally like to use the word serendipity. It's about, I didn't know I wanted to watch something until I saw it. And I thought that is for me, and that encompasses an awful lot of what I like to do in television. I didn't know when I sat down and fired up my television that I was going to spend an hour watching a documentary on penguins.
Okay,
I didn't know that. But I tell you, 1 minute into David Attenborough and his voice, and the next thing you know, I'm an hour and 15 minutes into the colonies in Antarctica. That is, for me, the beauty of television, and I think why lean back matters. I don't dispute that there's a role for both, and I think every household at different times of the day and different days of the week and for different people in the household will have a preference. But I love that about television.
lean back, you've got 15 more seconds.
Casual viewing. Just turn it on, it's there, I can watch it, and just tune in, turn on, be there.
Okay, lean forward.
Lean forward is more choice and control. So how many of you have had that experience where you're looking for that program with your wife and you're seeing what Netflix is recommending and it's not of interest whatsoever and you've seen it 100 times and you can't find what you want? It's the control of being offered more choices that then you can choose from. So leaning forward is the ability to interact, control, and take more involvement in your actual experience.
Because you brought up music, which I think is irrelevant, I'm going to bring up books, which is equally irrelevant to the debate, because what's happening with reading is people are buying books not as much because they're going to ChatGPT, and they say, tell me about Elton John. And what you might care about him is when he was 12, but that might be chapter 7 of the book you get to ask right now. Tell me about when he was 7, how was he a prodigy? Or you might care about one song. Tell me why he wrote Bitches Back. What is that about? You don't buy the book where that might be in chapter 12 because that's how the author. Already we are redefining book reading as going to ChatGPT, which is heavy lean forward. So you tell the story by your queries in the order you think is important. And that is happening right now this month. That's another example of media, leisure time, being redefined, even by old people like us, as lean forward, not lean back. TV will not escape this trend.
Okay, let's see if we have another audience question. Lean back or lean forward. Does anybody have a question? Okay, nobody has a question. So,
Nadine, I'll give you another example, just sort of from a, if you are, so at entertainment, we have a show, building a show at Fairground, where a consumer using AI, you can machine a show on the fly. You can create content while people are watching it. And there is an option, if you're a consumer, you can go and interact using either a remote control or a companion device. And you can see that.
So lean
the story,
forward.
Well, yes, it is. But now hang on a second. How many people do we expect to interact with the content? It's very small. The percentages, the real percentages of people that are getting the interaction and actually affecting the story. There's a second version where everybody else can watch it unfurl as the few people interact with it. You can see the way, what did they pick, which way did they go. That is lean back on top of a lean forward experience. How about that? Is that blurring the lines of definitions and not just types of people in household? That's somebody just leaving a TV on and seeing the content unfurl, but in the real, it's very cleverly being created off the back of a few lean forward people.
That sounds an awful lot like what kids do nowadays with gamers. Gamers are playing something that's very interactive, and thousands of people just tune in to watch it. It's that
But they
lean
chat.
back.
It is interactive because they chat because they're part of the
absolutely.
community.
Some chat. Lots of people just watch.
Right, but
the voyeur part.
they're
of it.
watching people interact. You can't have that leaning back experience without the other people leaning forward.
It's produced content. There's a produced content over here that's lean forward, and there's a lot of people just leaning back.
Okay, I'm
It's
going
the
to
best
jump.
of all worlds, and they tip. The ones who are really super fans tip,
Yep,
which is an extra revenue
You're right.
stream.
You're right. Some tip, and there's a lot of people who don't.
Yeah, we're
I'm
not-
going to
we're
go
not-
to the next question here, unless we have a question from the audience. Because, yes, sir.
Across, like lean back and lean forward.
Okay, so what is the authoritative
I've got
source
some
of
numbers.
truth?
You want numbers for money?
Just curious. Yeah.
Okay, that's me, Wall Street, baby. $200 billion a year video games, 100%, I would argue, 100% lean forward. $2 billion extra to the NFL in 24 from sports betting, which round numbers is 18 months old. That's just the NFL share from sports betting through driving longer engagement periods and broader game watching, like broader team watching, fantasy. And in America, there are 340 million people, 200 million people over 21, because technically you're not allowed to bet under 21, of which 85 engage in sports betting, which is 18 months old. And a lot of that is around the NFL. So they make an extra $2 billion. Twitch, $4 billion a year, 100% interactive. Again, Gen Z, but we think 75% of all Gen Z, which is 30 and under round numbers, will be involved in video games by next year,
Lean
which is
back.
all lean forward.
Well, I'm going to make it worse for lean back. We were having a discussion beforehand how older people are lean back, and the advertisers aim all their dollars at a younger audience. It's actually people over 50 who have all the disposable income. The reality is everything that we're building in lean forward is going to be what the people over 50 want 10 years from now. We're the dinosaurs. We're not going to matter 10 years from now. The people who want the lean forward experience are going to become the people with the disposable income 10 years from now. Everything she just said is going to get multiplied by 10. It's going to be enormous.
And I will just add on that generative AI, Wall Street is funding $500 billion a year this year in infrastructure backbone. And when you ask a CEO of Google or of Amazon, what's the revenue stream that's going to pay back this $500 billion a year you're spending? They're like, we don't know. But it's all interactive. Gen AI is all interactive, right? It's algorithms answering your queries about stills or video or chat, like the books example I gave. So Wall Street is saying the world is about to become more interactive, which means your leisure time is about to become more interactive in every kind of leisure time.
I'm going to be provocative here for a second.
Okay, please do.
And there's this app called TikTok. It's going to be big one day. Have you heard of it? It's huge.
No, actually, I have
You
not.
check it out. It's pretty
Yeah.
nice. It's about to be. I would just say, I've got teenage boys.
That's
And I like this idea. So this idea, like this notion of interactivity. I've watched them, and I've watched myself. And I'm going to ask the question: Is flipping with your thumb every few seconds, is that interactive, or is that a lean-back experience where some algorithm is pumping video after video after video?
But you have control
Is that
over what
actually-
you're flipping, so it's
well,
interactive.
you see. But in the same way, a fast channel is curated based on how many people are tuning into the channel and how you're tuning out. Ad breaks are being adjusted in real time based on actually sell-through rates. Is it? I'm going to argue it's shades of gray here. And I think for some people, a TikTok experience is where I just go to unwind. I don't want to do any work. I just go and I just flip through my videos on my Reels. I'm more a Reels guy than a TikTok guy. But
I think you're proving
so
that.
I'm saying that
leaning
actually
forward
that
is the new
I'm
lean back.
actually going to argue that that should be captured as lean back experience.
okay. All right.
Well, the same thing could be said for Instagram. You could, it's
Same thing.
Yeah, it's just, you're just flipping through, doom scrolling, right?
But I want to frame this in our
That is
debate.
not lean
The
back.
point, our debate topic is the future of television, which is long form, either 20 minutes or 2.5 hours if you want to do film. And the answer is the fact that both of you are citing things that are 10-second videos, 15-second videos, sort of argues on our behalf that attention spans are collapsing younger people, even you guys, we are not younger people, demand more control. You have a shorter attention spans, which means TV, lean back TV and movies doomed under your examples.
And a lot of stuff that we end up getting given to us in our guides is curated by something else. And the amount of stuff that we actually see in our guides is curated by algorithms that we don't control. It's actually sometimes hard to go find the new stuff, the new interesting stuff. So we have less control over what we see all the time, too.
Okay, that leads us to the next question. Sir? Nobody has choice over what they're watching on TikTok, okay? Okay, so the question is binge watching a lean back, lean forward, or emerging?
I would say that's lean back. Yeah.
That's lean back.
And I mean, traditionally, that's kind of what my wife and I are into. It's like, we'll find one thing, it's like, that's cool. We do a playlist.
By the way, the world is moving to personalization. If you had a better algorithm, the way TikTok has captured people, if you had a better algorithm that fed you better stuff, you might be less likely to just put on Murder, She Wrote and let it run for the next 6 months.
By the way, so I spent a lot of my last 10 years building algorithms to do recommendations, both for VOD, linear, free TV. And you know, a lot of time thinking with the Netflix teams and the others and looking at how the various services did recommendation engines. And I think a little bit of this goes into the recommendation engines and the active discovery. And I just say, this is an aside. This isn't in one point or another. There's something weird that happens with video. Music, you listen to the same music over and over and over again. There's a familiarity to it. I listen to, God help me, this 80s music. I'll listen to Duran Duran.
Right here, brother.
50 more times the next. Sorry about that. And so predicting what people like with music is you've got a lot of data points which ladder up to an outcome, and you can predict that I like X type of music, so you're more likely to like this. Video is extremely hard because you watch a video, except from Star Wars, which I've watched 8 or 9 times. I don't watch video over and over again the same thing. That binge watching is the closest you get to that. And so that's kind of an algorithm jumps in on that because they're like, okay, you watch Seinfeld, you're probably going to watch another one. But then suddenly, unpredictably, it breaks and you're watching the Penguins show again. So the science of engineering recommendation for video, because of the lack of certainty, is very difficult to do for a platform. And that's why it takes such a long time to find stuff, because it's very, very hard to do.
And I'm not going to build on that, but I want to add a point to our side. I'm shocked YouTube hasn't come up, because YouTube, I believe, is a point on our side for interactivity, the rise of interactivity. So Nielsen Gauge, you guys probably all see it every month. YouTube, 12% of viewing. Next closest, 7% at Netflix. So, and that gap keeps widening, which tells you that consumers writ large are moving towards shorter form video, and there's 2 million YouTube creators, which means also more personalized, which means they're not willing to put up with even shit on Netflix that is sort of mass for the masses globally. So that actually, I think, is another data point suggesting that consumers across the age limits are insisting on more personalized. You have to earn their attention more because of the extreme competition in video and for leisure time, generally.
It's really interesting to see, not to take away from your point, because I think you're actually right. There's an amazing number of broadcasters who are just taking a simple, frictionless publish point of putting their stuff on YouTube. So it's there, and there's fast channels there as well. It's becoming this frictionless place to put my content. It's easy, it goes there, and I'm there, I do stuff, but their algorithm to figure out who's watching what is the worst thing in the world. It's like it cannot figure me out for the life of me.
You said it was hard.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Well, let's just talk about YouTube for a minute. And I think YouTube is, I think this is public data, it's the #1 app on television in terms of hours spent.
Yes, it is.
And it's absolutely enormous. It's bigger than Netflix, it's bigger than everything else. But remember, and a lot of people think YouTube and you think of comment sections and likes and ups and downs and things like that, because that's where YouTube was born, out of desktop, right, and search boxes. YouTube is governed by a remote control, up, down, left, right, okay. And the interactions are very limited on YouTube. It plays out more like a lean back experience on CTV than it does like, I would say, an interactive app on it because of the lack of interactivity through the remote control. So I think that the YouTube argument actually is ironically more of an argument for lean back viewing and the importance of that in a household.
Nope, because it's narrowcasted. While you might watch somebody unbox for an hour, you chose unboxing. And I chose somebody that was equally narrowcasted. So I personalized my feed across 2 million creators, which is a lean forward comment. I decided how much time, and they have a lot shorter time zones too. They don't have 3 hours of viewing on a single show.
Again, I would say, that's an interesting, we've got to then talk about is the definition of lean back, the action of looking for something to watch, or is it how it's created and served up to you? Because I would say YouTube is, for me, yes, I might enjoy only a stream that is curated for me, but my level of activity in interacting that is very, very low, and therefore I feel like it's more a lean back experience.
Okay, I'm going to go back to the audience over here.
I don't know if it's by the device or the app that puts up the, are you still watching thing, and then you're forced to click yes or else it goes away. Do you guys think there's some agenda behind the device or the app that is pushing for lean forward? Because even if you do want to sit back, turn on your TV, and let the content roll for hours and hours, you actually can't on a lot of devices because it'll stop you and say, are you still watching?
Okay, so the question is are our viewing devices creating a lean back or a lean forward experience because they're requiring us to interact?
You know, I would answer it this way. It goes back to this gentleman's question. What was happening is studies were being done on Roku and LG and Samsung and saying 20% of your ad dollars on connected television are wasted because there's nobody in the room. They left it on in the background and there's nobody watching these ads. And so for the advertisers to continue demanding CTV ads compared to broadcast TV ads, let's say, they have to put that up to make sure somebody says, yes, I'm still watching. Otherwise, they shut off the TV and the advertiser doesn't get a shitty deal because nobody has been in the room for the last 2 episodes. So I think that was advertiser demanded, that periodically somebody say, hey, are you still there, to prove that you're still watching the device and not, you didn't leave the room 2 hours ago.
Lean back, any comments?
Well, I'd hardly call that the most interactive experience in the world. I don't think that really equates with gaming, as we were talking about earlier on. But yeah, it's. I don't know if it's necessarily there to create the lean forward experience as much as what we just talked about as the just make sure ads get their value.
There's so many more factors to it. There is obviously the advertiser component, but there is bandwidth delivery, there is other support, there's other elements to it. There's screen lifespan, there's burn-in, there's other components which also affect that. But I also think that when you can reset the counter and say, somebody, I'm still dialed in, you get to capture the value of that fresh user again. So yes, I think there is. I think that was the background. Yes, and Nora is correct. That was the background of those prompts.
Okay, I have a question. So which side, lean back or lean forward, creates more revenue streams? Well, let lean forward.
I already answered that. Lean forward because you get tipping, which is not available lean back. You get better data and higher CPMs, so you get more. We know from the NFL, just fantasy betting, they have an extra $2 billion from just betting, which is 18 months old. So you must, by definition, have more revenue streams when you have more consumer options. So lean forward does not preclude lean back. 50-year-olds can still lean back, but lean forward brings another demo, and if they want to lean forward and they love it, they can tip. They can do e-commerce.
Jonathon?
And in the future, they can do even more than that. They can buy a pizza while they're watching the movie. They can interact with their friends while they're watching a movie, that sort of thing.
All of
Watch
this,
parties.
I would say, again, if you look at, again, I would say if we are to look at television and put aside gaming, which, yes, I understand, I would say is a different market, but television. If you look at the revenues of the Charter, Dish, Comcast, TV companies, and the revenues which they're capturing, which are broadly categorized as lean back, they dwarf the likes of their interactive on like streaming TV or like streaming app services. And so I think lean back programming is still a very, very, like an enormous share of total revenues generated in the television industry today.
But the issue on the floor is the future of television interactive versus lean back? Lean back is where the incumbents began. When you're mentioning Comcast and Charter, that is over. Their core product today is modems, and modems enable Netflix and YouTube and lean forward activities, and generative AI is going to make everything more personalized to you, which means it has to become more interactive.
Any other questions from the audience before we move on to another question I have? The sir in the back. We did speak to it earlier, but I'll actually get the team. Let me ask both teams here to define. Okay, let me ask the teams again to define what they see as lean back or lean forward. Lean back? What is lean back?
So I take lean back. The difference between lean forward is the remote control in your hand, and are you you're making selections? Is that mode where you're actually actively looking for something? And lean back is you're letting the TV do the work, and you're letting it lead you from content to content. But there is, I think as you're hearing here, there's nuance to that. I think even in each of those two modes, there's a lot of technology, there's a lot of data. And so I think this is why we're sort of jumping seemingly from one piece to the other. But that's my personal view. I think I spent a little time on ChatGPT before the session, and I've done a little bit of thinking about it, like I think most of
So you were leaning forward is what you're telling me.
Well, yeah, well,
I need to ask that. How many people in this room use ChatGPT every day?
Yeah, right here.
Okay, good.
Okay, so Jonathan?
Well, I would say that when you're choosing to watch ESPN and then you're leaning back and just watching it, that would be leaning back. But if you're interacting with it, or even with your phone while you're watching, well, what are the stats on that athlete? What's going on? What?
That sounds interactive to me.
That's
That sounds
interactive.
Well, and what
lean
I would
forward.
argue is if you're trash talking with your buddies because you're winning your fantasy league, that is a lean forward. The TV is on, but if you're interacting socially with somebody else about the content on TV, it's a lean forward experience on a second screen.
Okay, I've got
And
the
can I make
gentleman
it
in
worse?
the white shirt in the back.
You could actually have a lean back experience where you're just watching TV, and you could have an iPhone in your hand. You could be texting away. So both
Okay,
hands.
next question. Gentleman.
This is 2.0 of my question. It's just like, if I'm watching the NFL game on my CTV, but I'm betting
Interactive.
that bet, you are interactive.
It's interactive. That is a lean forward experience facilitated by the NFL.
And what
to
we're
get more
saying
money.
is technology will catch up with that, where you won't necessarily have to be on a second device.
I don't know.
That's where
about
streaming's
that.
going.
Both and.
I would, again, if, let's rewind. Okay, I know, let's not go back into the deep dive. If I'm watching something on NFL, put it on in the morning, and a game is playing, and there's an incredible moment, a touchdown has just happened beyond all odds, and I stop and I have a conversation with somebody in my living room. I haven't touched the remote control, but I've become engaged with another person. I mean, that doesn't feel like interactivity, right? Yes, I think if I got out on the betting app on the television and I said, let me put a wager on the next play, that's clearly in the interactive, and that's lean forward.
Why do you care what device you're betting on? If you're betting on your second screen, that still counts as interactivity relating to the lean back content on
But I think my point is, yes, the betting is an example where, yes, the interactivity, but I think I'm just saying that don't discount the whole medium of the lean back experience and the content that's playing out and the conversations that are happening from it.
But
That's
it
the
isn't lean
point.
back. So lean back would be the MLB. Like, there's no betting, there's no fantasy, they're poorly managed, nobody cares anymore. They are a dying sport because of bad leadership. That is the opposite of the NFL, run by billionaires. Everything they're doing is a lean forward.
And no one's
facility.
saying lean back is going to go away. We're just saying that
I'm
lean
saying it's
forward
going
is
away.
going to
No,
become.
I am saying lean back is disappearing with all of us as we die, because the new kids you will have to earn their attention when they're 20. They will not put up with what we put up with.
Okay, the question. Sir?
As an investor, are these metrics around?
Are they viable to use? Okay. Okay, so the question is as for investors, are the stats around lean back and lean forward important? Meaning, are they actually?
Here's a little, okay, I want to give a personal point of view, and Laura actually is the expert here, and so I'm going to, forgive me, Laura.
Dying to hear your personal point of view.
I'm going to just, yeah, so, and give me a little wink here. Everybody likes a little lean forward, everybody likes a little lean back. It's like, we're all like everything. But your point actually on investor, I would submit, yes, you can, if you want to be the next Netflix or the next YouTube, these enormous companies, that is clearly in terms of how you size up an investment or an opportunity, you are thinking about the swing for the fences, the home run investment, and how that'll pay back if you can pull off something. But there's also an awful lot of companies, and I will say, I'll humbly submit Zumo as an example, which we started off by doing something in an industry which is seemingly like a little dead. It was like, terrestrial, we were actually created linear channels played out over the internet instead of over an antenna. But fast forward today, FAST is a $13, $12 billion industry. And those players like Tubi and Pluto did rather well for their investors. And so I think it is, I don't think there is necessarily, yes, if you're looking for the big grand hit, there's an approach you would use in terms of how you size up a potential market. But this television and entertainment is an enormous industry. And there are so many lovely little slices that you can do very well and capture very high amounts of value. So that's just, sorry, that's a point of view.
So the question on the floor is, are there publicly investable interactive companies? Is that what the question on the floor is?
So can you rely on the stats that are coming through if you're looking to do an investment?
So the answer is, it should be using generative AI. There is no capital being allocated to anything that doesn't relate to generative AI because it's going to be so disruptive. It's going to be the fourth disruption, just like Apple apps disrupted mobile. Like generative AI will be as disruptive as the internet and as that. So if it doesn't have generative AI, which is very much algorithm driven, hard pendulum swing towards algorithms, personalizing your experience for all leisure time, video included, not excluded. So if it doesn't involve generative AI, I'd walk away. Generative AI implies interactivity, and then you have to size the market and make sure that you don't get stomped on by Amazon Prime or stomped on by YouTube, right? That they would buy you or Comcast would buy you. But you just got to be careful because there's some big tanks running around in this business and they can replicate anything you create. So the question is, can somebody buy you to protect you first? But I would say everything is about to become more interactive and more algorithm driven.
Sir in the back.
Yeah, just a quick comment on YouTube. Number one, we cannot ignore the growth of podcasts.
So the question is what?
We talked about YouTube, and Laura was mentioning a little bit of short form. Not true. YouTube has a lot of long form, lean back content. It's all the podcast stuff. In addition, you have like Fox News, for example. They'll actually string together a bunch of 3-minute clips into a 1 hour.
Average age 72 years old, irrelevant.
Okay, so can we say the question is
YouTube is not only short form content, it's very long lean back content. And it doesn't ask you if you're still watching. You could be asleep and watching a podcast. A lot of those numbers from YouTube are on long form content.
No problem.
okay, now is the question for you, is YouTube lean back or lean forward? I know he's making a statement, but we're looking for questions here. Okay, Interpret.
I got a question.
Yes.
A lot of conversation, I fully agree that personalization and demand for personalization is going to be ubiquitous for all generations, honestly. We've been programmed by this to really be curated, right?
Right.
The question, though, on CTV, it's in a home, and a home has usually more than one person in there.
Okay.
And deconstructing the household hasn't been figured out yet.
I agree.
Who do you, and I love the point around like the Spotify tastemaker. That's usually people behind the scenes creating a playlist. Who do you think is going to actually be that tastemaker for CTV for a household? Is it going to be a CTV OEM? Is it going to be a super app like what Disney has become with Hulu and Disney Plus and ESPN, where it's going to be like a WeChat in China where you're just going to do everything in a single app? Or is it social is still going to be that tastemaker to give you that taste and then directs you to that specific program, right? Because it goes from like leaning back into leaning in
I have an answer. I think it's Roku, LG, and Samsung, because they see data across everything, including all the apps like YouTube. So they then take data, and then they should use algorithms. They have a tech stack that's good enough to then use algorithms to personalize your feed and to create better discovery. You cannot do it if you're Disney, because you must have a subscriber. They have 175 million subscribers. Tough shit. If they don't have a subscriber that Netflix has or Paramount Plus has, they don't have the overview. Roku sees every subscriber of every service, AVOD, FAST, everything. So it should be the OEMs that are in the pole position for, that would be my answer to you.
I actually would roundly agree with Laura on this one. I would say it used to be that in the television industry, all the value lay with being the pipes. The plumbing, the cable TV provider was how you captured most of the value. That value is transferring to the glass of the television is the final point of assembly before the eyeball gets it. And so does the phone. So those pieces of glass are the most powerful places to be. And I've seen actually in my time how the TV companies have gone from selling a TV, making 5% margin on it, maybe a little money off the warranties, to now some of the biggest media companies in the world, because they're recognizing the role they play with the consumers. Now, you can't say that only the television does the recommendation, because there's still word of mouth, there's still social, there's all these other things, but TV is the closest to mattering. That glass of the television is extremely important.
Yeah, whoever has the data is the one who matters here.
Jonathon, did you have something?
I totally agree.
Okay.
It's all
In fact,
about the
So with
data.
Gen AI, so I just want to make this point, because this room needs to hear this point. Wall Street thinks that shopping TV is the next revenue stream for television. This one after that is selling data to the big LLMs, right? CuriosityStream just doubled their revenue. Reddit almost doubled their revenue. That's not true, they're too big. But they get 120 million from selling their data to an LLM, fourth revenue stream. I just told you, I give you a 50% markup on your valuation multiple for every revenue stream you add. So anybody that doesn't control data, which is a lot of lean back TV, cannot have a fourth revenue stream by selling data to the LLM. You have an interactive revenue stream where you know, even if it's only 2 million people, it's such a high quality data stream, an LLM may buy it from you. And of course, if you aggregate more. So the fourth revenue stream for television is gonna be data, selling it to the big LLM, large language models. So.
Okay. Another question from the audience. Yes.
I have a question more like from technical perspective.
Okay.
I represent the company that delivers technology. We're talking about the data and the way the consumers. It's actually a question to Laura, because I agree with you. It's not the free choice. Like that it's delivered to us. It's like after iPhone, no one comes with buttons, right? So that's the way it is, and it goes that way. So the question is, don't you think that the industry forgot about the technology environment?
You're trying to bring up like ATSC 3.0 because the broadcasters want interactivity? Is that what you're saying about technology?
No, I think he's saying the EPK is 1980s circa. Yeah.
How about which technology is accelerating? Lean back or lean forward?
Even in stuff, so I work with the SCTE still, and a lot of stuff they built originally was very lean back, like ST35 and 224. If you look at what we're doing in some of those committees, the stuff that was originally lean back is enabling lean forward. It's absolutely, it's going that route.
You're switching sides again.
No, I'm telling you.
And Gen AI is all about personalizing your experience of life writ large, including your leisure time, which is 6 hours a day typically. So Gen AI those algorithms will be helping you live a higher value life in every aspect.
And to answer your question, yes, I think that technology has fallen behind, or the technology hasn't been utilized as much as it could have been so far. But I think to Laura's point, that's all going to change as soon as somebody nails it with Gen AI, and as soon as that data is absorbed by somebody who's nailing it for everybody. So,
and a little plug for myself to Laura. That's the reason I started my whole business, is the impact of Gen AI on entertainment. And what I believe is that new formats will emerge that we couldn't even imagine today. Ultra-personalized channels. levels of interactivity which are just magical. I mean, we're working with a company right now that they're making a movie that you will be able to buy tickets to the movie before you go to the theater. And if you opt in and spend and buy VIP tickets, you can take a selfie of yourself. And by the time you've found your seats in the theater, you will be a star in the movie. And if you buy a cheap ticket, you're a background, and you can buy an expensive ticket, you're in the front row.
So paying for that.
And by the way, like,
I want to be the star.
like so cool, right? I mean, that's like, and this is why I think the new world is. But your question on tech, I think there's obviously a cycle of things which are getting outgrown and reinvention and new things. You have to stay up. You have to be right at the cutting edge of things. You have to think about, like, I was just at a FAST TV industry conference this week. Again, FAST didn't exist 12 years ago. And you go to a conference and there's 2,500 people with services and technology to make FAST easier. Like, these industries are, like, there are new things created. Now, FAST isn't, I think the next one is Gen AI. And I think the same thing, TV and entertainment made with Gen AI, there'll be jobs and tech and everything that comes along with it as it starts to find its feet.
Yep.
Okay, we have one more question, time for one more question from the audience? Is there a question here? Because it needs to be a question. It's a debate, so that I can... No? Okay. I'm so sorry, because we are trying to run the debate so that you guys get to vote in a second. Anybody else have a question for the audience? Okay, I have a question if nobody else does. So, which is more affordable to create, lean forward or lean back content? Lean back, you're starting.
The question is what's more affordable to create? There's two ways to answer that question. First of all, I think a lot of content starts off its life cycle as part of lean forward. It's a new show, a new thing, and they market it, and you watch it, you find it, and you watch it, and then it may be towards its end of its life cycle. People think, well, that's more the lean back stuff. However, there's another way to look at that problem is if I'm a smaller studio, if I don't have Warner Brothers budget to market something, if I can place my content inside a lean back experiences, people will discover it without $100 million marketing budget for the new movie, or Game of Thrones, or these big hits. So I think there's both. I think there is actually, if I'm a small aspirational studio just getting started, I like being part of the lean back world, because I don't have to have that marketing and the promotional budget, as well as everything else that goes along with it. Maybe I can find my foothold and become something bigger. So, anyway, that's just a quick reaction to that.
I'm going to take the other side of that, because the reason that lean forward is cheaper is you make fewer mistakes. When they spent $10 million a year on Lost, that works. And when they spent $200 million on Waterworld, that failed. And they had a $200 million write-off. So with lean forward, you make something, if you don't get a lot of clicks and you don't get a lot of it, and you stop making that, and you start making this, and you see if you do better. So lean forward, you take less risk, and you kill things faster if they don't go viral or create engagement. So lean forward has to be a lower risk, i.e. lower cost, type of content creation, because you're building fandom along the way, or you pull the plug and you stop and you start over with a new idea.
Okay, I have to give Laura the last word because we have to vote. Sorry, guys. Lean forward. How many think lean forward won the debate here? You can both make noise and also raise your hand, so I can actually see this. Okay, raise your hands if you think lean forward.
I see you all.
Okay, yes, okay, and lean back? Okay, some of you are not voting. Shame on you.
That's okay. That's okay.
Oh, you're voting twice. Okay, so according to the audience, lean back has won.
We do. I thought it was very close.
Must be an old average age.
It's
Do
all
it
the old
again.
guys.
Okay.
Especially since he was really on our side from the beginning. I don't think they're very good listeners, these people.
Okay, well my vote would have been for lean forward. But
Nadine
anyway,
a hand for navigating.
I have to thank everyone in the panel.
We're going to give a hand to the moderator.
Thank you so much.
First try.
Okay. And the panel did an amazing job, and I want to thank everybody, and I want to thank the audience for actually participating too. That would have been a lean forward thing. So thank you all. We have another panel start, another debate in 15 minutes.